asked to make a video explaining ozone and ozone setup. Seeing I don't actually have one set up in the shop, I'm going to draw it for you. So let's assume that this is our fish tank cabinet. This is our fish tank, and we've gone and bought an ozone unit. So why would you want an ozone unit? An ozone unit is going to allow you to use ozone to oxidize organics in your water. The ozone is also very poisonous, so it also has, I guess, disinfecting type properties, that it will kill algae, it will kill bacteria, it'll kill parasites that go through it, so it tends to make your water crystal clear. The upside of using ozone is your water tends to be crystal clear and quite parasite free. The downside of using ozone is it'll kill off all your plankton, all your microorganisms, and if used incorrectly can put poisonous residual ozone into the water, and it will increase your nitrate level. Hence why I don't tend to use ozone myself anymore. But, so here we go, here is an ozone unit. So what a lot of people do is put an air dryer on the inlet of the ozone unit, so then the air goes in through here. A lot of them need to be run on an air pump, and then they'll go to the ozone unit. You then need the air to be pumped either by the ozone unit itself or by an air pump, which is going to pump into the ozone unit. So you might have an air pump here, air pump, and that pumps into the air dryer and into the ozone unit. Now the reason why you want an air dryer is because if you just pump normal air into the ozone, a lot of the ozone will actually get killed or get used up purifying the air. So if you actually dry the air with an air dryer, which are these little beads that saturate and change color after a while, then you're going to get better results out of your ozone. Now the ozone can either go out and you can put it in the fish tank, which would be a particularly stupid idea, because then you are increasing the risk of exposing your fish to residual ozone. Residual ozone means unused ozone, which is actually poisonous. So what most people do is they'll have like a sump filter, and then there's their return pump that shoots the water back up to the top of the tank, and then they'll commonly have down here a protein skimmer. Now, once you run the ozone on the protein skimmer will stop functioning as a protein skimmer. It will function as an ozone reactor, because the organics that would have otherwise got skimmed out by the skimmer are now getting broken down by the ozone and put back into the water, hence the increased nitrate. So let's say that you're really fancy and you've actually got two skimmers. One of them is a protein skimmer, and the other one you're going to use as an ozone reactor. There are actual ozone reactors you can buy, but you may as well just use a protein skimmer. So then, the inlet of the pump is going to have a venturi in which you can connect your ozone. You must make sure that all your air lines are silicate lines and are ozone safe. Then you turn on your air pump. The air pump blows the air through the air dryer, then into the ozonizer. The ozonizer is going to pump ozone into the skimmer, which is going to react with the water. And then, providing that the ozone is used up, oxidizing the organics in the skimmer, the water that comes out of the skimmer is fine. Though, sometimes, if you're trying to get your ozone too high, it is possible the residual ozone can come out of the skimmer. So what people do there is they'll have the outlet of the skimmer, and they'll often put that through carbon. And the carbon will take out any residual ozone before it goes back into the aquarium. That is the safest thing to do. So, if you have a few fish are producing waste, and your ozone is set at lower than the fish can produce waste, no big problem. If you start producing ozone at a higher waste than the fish can produce, got a big problem, because now you've got the threat of residual ozone, which means the ozone doesn't get used up in the skimmer. It might make its way back to the aquarium, which may not be good. So the other thing that people do is get what's called a redox meter. So a redox meter will measure in milliequivalents, and we'll have a little digital display. And then it'll have a probe going down into the aquarium, and it will also connect to the ozonizer, or the power of the ozonizer, in order to turn it off. So this is a safer way of doing it, because if your residual ozone or your redox potential raises, then there's a higher threat of residual ozone. So therefore the redox computer will turn off the ozone, so it's sort of like a thermostat with a heater. So running ozone with a redox meter is much safer than running ozone on its own. Running ozone with an air dryer is much more economical than running ozone on its own. Most ozonizers will need an air pump in order to propel the air through the unit, and then it's just a matter of watching what your redox potential is and deciding what you want your redox potential to be on, and then either setting the redox meter to turn the ozone off when it starts getting up to the level you want. You might want it at 320, you might want it at 420, depending on what you're trying to do, and away you go. So the key is to make sure that whatever you've set up, you're producing less ozone than the fish are producing waste. So once again, I'm not the world's biggest fan of ozone. The reason why is that I prefer using Marine Pure cubes in my filter, and I prefer to enjoy the parallel denitrification that allows, whereas your ozone is going to very powerfully oxidize all your organics into nitrate, and medias like Marine Pure don't tend to be effective at getting rid of nitrate. They tend to just be effective at providing a parallel surface to stop nitrate being produced when it is in the form of ammonia. Anyway, if you have anything to add to this little information on ozone, then by all means put a little thing down the bottom. But at the end of the day, ozone is great for crystal clear water, but so is polyfilter. And ozone is great for parasite control, but so are UV sterilizers and stuff like that. So ozone is actually poisonous. People are concerned about it being safe for their families and so forth, and I'm sure if you were dumb enough to have a huge ozonizer that was unregulated, then that could actually be an issue. So do a lot of research before you buy an ozonizer, do a lot of research before you run an ozonizer, and put a little comment down the bottom.